Perfect. Well, namaste and welcome, everyone. I'm really thrilled that you could join us. This is so special. I've sort of been counting down the minutes today. It makes me very excited to be able to share, these two beautiful beings with you and also the book. Now, I know that some of you have read the book and some of you haven't. If you haven't, do yourself a favor. I believe someone I know might have ordered a copy last night online and they said there's only two copies left. So sorry about that, Seema. You might have to do another print run. Because a lot of people have rushed in to buy the book. I've read a lot of, and this is not just me saying this because these ladies are here. This is a phenomenal textbook of yoga that really reaches into the science, the psychological science, the energetic science, but in a way that is really quite palatable for us in the West, I want to say. But for where most of us, like people who are hanging with me, where we're at in our yoga journey, I wouldn't say this is a book for a brand new person on the yoga mat, but for those of us who have been in it for a while, this is really a next level book. And so just quickly to introduce Seema and Anushree, and I met these two delightful beings on my very first trip to India. In fact, remember I got off like I don't know, a 10-hour train journey without a voice and all these things by the time I arrived at the house. And little did I know that the mystery of where life had taken me. And the house that we were in, or that Seema's in right now in Haridwar, is Harish Johari's house. And it's almost like you feel him there and you feel the teachings. And it's right by the River Ganga. And it's a very, very beautiful, potent place to be. And so that was my first introduction to you both. And over the years and over the time of conversations and deepening my experience of yoga and therefore deepening our conversations, is that you are literally all in the presence of what I would deem masters tonight. And the opportunity that we have here is to, I really want Seema to speak about her father. I did not get to meet him. He wasn't in form by the time I arrived there. So the teachings live through Seema and Anushree. And so what I asked them tonight would be to share, especially for Seema, to share what it was like growing up with a master of yoga. Like that's your dad. This isn't the 6 o'clock class you go to on a yoga mat and you're introduced to yoga. I mean, these women were born into yoga. Like, what an incredible experience. Um, and so if and when you do get hold of this book that describes so beautifully the depths of where yoga can take us dimensionally, to be in the presence of someone who mastered that, that is really where we can glean the power of this lineage of yoga. So, with all of that being said, I will hand it over to Seema and she may offer a prayer to begin or a moment to pause, and then we'll see where it takes us. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Hello, everyone. It will be nice to say the mantra Asato Ma Sadgamaya, because it is a mantra where we are requesting the Supreme Consciousness to take us from the darkness to light, from ignorance to knowledge, and from the immortal to the mortal, from immortality to immortality. So just let me say a few lines. Oh. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It's nice to say these mantras because, it's a very good way to bring the energy into the presence. into the present moment. Because when we are like, I'm talking to Deborah or I'm talking to everyone, we are thinking about other things also. So this is a beautiful prayer, and I don't want to explain it too much because then I'll talk. I only have half an hour. So, but it's a beautiful prayer where we are praying to the Lord, to the Supreme Consciousness, to take us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, and from mortality to immortality. And this is a prayer which should be like, we should be bringing it in our practice, that we are praying to the Lord to please bring us into the light, to please bring us into the immortality, to please bring us to the knowledge. Because that is the essence. Our being born as a human being, because we are the only species which has such a developed brain that we can think about such things and practice such things and develop such things and bring our consciousness merge into the supreme consciousness. Well, I'm talking like this because I'm studying Vedanta, so that comes into my teachings. But Deborah wanted me to talk about my father. He was, I think, the most special. I have met so many saints, so many realized people, so many sadhus, because I've been to the Kumbh Mela so many times and we have met so many realized beings. But he was a very, very special person in a way that he knew everything. All the scriptures he knew. He has written so many books, and all the books are on all different subjects. He has written a book on numerology. He has written a book on Ayurveda. He has written a book on chakras, on tools for tantras. He has been giving classes on practically every subject you could think of, the scriptures, the philosophy, the psychology, everything. So he was a very, very special person. And it was very nice to meet one of his guru. He used to say, he's my guru. He was a saint who used to live near Hardwar. His name was Narayan Swami. He died at the age of 105. He was born in 1897 or something, and he died in 2001 or two. Yeah, 2001, I think. And my father used to say, he's my guru. But when we were talking to him and asking how was he as a student, not, he said he was not my student. He had all this knowledge in him from past life. And I just had to open the doors, and the knowledge was flowing out. And this you could see because many people, like there was one person from Jaipur, he came all the way. He took a flight to Delhi and he is driving his Mercedes to Hardwar. And he only came after my father was no more. He came to just tell me, he said, your father was so special that I have come all the way to just tell you that I have never imagined a person who died at the age of 64 could do so much work in this world. So writing so many books, creating so many artworks. He was a very good painter. He developed a technique which is called watercolor technique, and in which you are making a painting, drawing a painting on silk fabric, and then coloring it and washing it, and coloring it and washing it, and coloring it and washing it so many times that the fabric and the color become one. And then, so when if that painting goes in water, it doesn't leave any color. So these kind of paintings can be preserved for thousands of years. So this technique he developed, and he has made many of his books, paintings with this technique. He trained so many students in artwork. One of his very good student, Peter Weltevrede from Holland, he just recently died. He was a very good student and he learned that technique properly from him. So I mean, he was a person who could talk on any subject whenever he had classes. I have been in his classes as a child because we went to the US when he used to travel. Let me start a little differently, that he stayed in India only a few months. In 1968, he started going to the West when nobody had any concept about Swara Yoga, Chakras, Ayurveda, tantra, yantra, nobody knew about this. So he was invited by a university in Princeton to give lectures on these kind of subjects. That's where he started going to the West. And then when he started going, he had so many bookings and so many people wanted him over there that he was mostly in the US and coming back just for a couple of months to India. So living with him was so special because you were like, he had a very beautiful kind of energy and he never imposed anything on you, but he lived in such a way that you would just get inspired to be like that. And in between, if you ask, like if he used to tell us as a child that you should get up early in the morning, why? He would give you a proper explanation, but he will not wake you up in the morning. You have to get up yourself. He won't say you have to get up because I have told you no. So it was wonderful with him to see him living the life that he was teaching throughout. As many years he was teaching, he was living that life, he was living that kind of knowledge, and he was always believing in imparting the maximum that he knew. And that's why so many lectures were organized. And after he passed away, all his students who had gathered those lectures, they made us how do you call it, that USB stick, and gave it to me. So I have those lectures, and it's all different kind of subjects that you can even not imagine, like dreams. He has given a whole lecture on dreams. He has given a whole lecture on all kinds of characters from the great epic Mahabharat. So, and we are trying to make a few books. After he left, we have made a few more books out of his lectures and teachings. So he had a very special kind of life, and he really was a person who would utilize every moment of his life. So he was only sleeping 2.5 hours. And the rest of the time, he was writing books and creating artwork, teaching people, taking classes. And when we were initially, when I was 5 or 6, I think, 71, 65, I was 6 years old. He was in the US for a couple of years in a row, and he didn't come back to India. That's when he took us, my mother and the three of us. I'm three sisters. And we stayed a few years with him there, all the like 12 years of all the throughout the year. And there I had a more close time to watch him with in the classes, and how he was doing things, how he was reacting to all the people and everything. And the best part was that because my mother had to do, in India you have servants, but there you have to do everything yourself. So my mother had to cook meals and take care of us and the house and everything. So she would ask my father to just take care of the two big girls because the younger one was very small. So we were sitting in his class. So I was only 5 or 6 at that time, and he would give us some artwork to do so that we are busy, and he would giving lectures, and in his lectures you would have scientists, you would have doctors, you would have psychologists, you would have psychiatrists, you had all kind of normal people who wanted to get that knowledge. So all kinds of people he was teaching, and he could answer anybody. Like if a doctor asked something, he would be able to answer. If a scientist asked something, he would be able to answer. If a psychologist asked something, he would. And he was also in those classes healing people through different techniques. He invented a beautiful technique of healing with music. I mean, it's very common now, but I'm talking about 1968, where there were some people who had some emotional problems. So it was, for me, it was beautiful to be there and see everything. And he would play a certain raga with them and ask them to sit and meditate, have no artificial light except for ghee lamps, because the ghee lamp also generates a very positive kind of energy. If you try to light a lamp in your house, you will start feeling the difference of the energy traveling in the house instead of candles or all the bulbs that we have in the house. So, with lighting some ghee lamps and with some special music and with a kind of meditation, he would heal people with music. And then I also remember that there was one very young boy. He was mentally disturbed, and he would come, and he all he was doing at home was screaming badly. So my father said, no problem, just bring him to me. He came, and my father used to ask him to scream as much as he can. And while he was screaming, he had a particular music. He had those kind of beej mantras going on, not any like any instrumental music, but like the chakra sounds. All these kind of sounds, and he would scream, 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 and then he will cool down. So he would come at least 3, 4 days a week, come and scream, and we were like so scared at that time because we were small. My mother used to like sit in the last room and do like this. Oh my God, he's coming and he's going to scream now. But that really healed him. Just being there with the sounds, with the let him get, and then of course he was talking also, and he was on medication also, but that really healed him. So he was a kind of a person who would, I would say, do anything, whatever is required by the situation. He was so good with children. He loved being with small children. He loved the energy. He used to say that uh, a few hours in a day we should be around children because the children are such fresh energy, they're so rejuvenating. So it was like a routine for us to massage him for a few hours a day when he was resting, to rub his hairs or his back or something, because he used to say that the energy from the hands of the children would go in his body and it will rejuvenate him. So I mean, his life was like a therapy all the time, some or the other kind of therapy. And he was a fantastic cook, and he had a great knowledge of the Ayurveda. So he would cook in a particular way, and he was always his close students. I have Heidi in my house. She's one of the very good students of him. She lives with us now permanently. He would teach them how to cook properly because he generally, initially, never ate food made by anybody or everybody. So initially, when he started going to the West, he used to cook his own food and eat because he believed that food is energy going inside you. So if it's not cooked by the right emotion, if it's not cooked by the right intention, then it can harm your energy. And that's what chakra is talking about, all the energy inside you, how to balance that energy, how to align that energy. So his life was like every step, he's getting up, then his routine, meditating first, and then getting fresh, and then having some chai, and then doing all his rituals, all the pujas that he did. He was a devotee of Hanuman, so he would do Hanuman Chalisa and all kinds of prayers. And while taking bath, I mean, I even remember all those mantras that he would just chant the Ganga mantra while taking bath, and then while coming out and dressing up, and while everything was like a mantra. It was a beautiful sound in the house when he would like go in, take bath, and come out. And by the time he went to his room for puja, then his Hanuman Chalisa, and he wanted us to sit with him as long as he was in India or we were in the West. So then he wanted some, like he had some food, and he would rest like half an hour only because he gets up only after sleeping 2 hours at night. So he would rest, and that is a time when we are massaging him and chatting around him and rubbing his feet and putting some oil on him or some dry powder on him. And then he would get up, and then he wanted a bit of silence, and then he was writing his books, writing or reading or formulating or editing. And then evening chai was a very good routine because that was a time when you could like go and talk to him, because after this his writing you could not go and talk to him because you would say, just give me some time, I'm busy doing something. So evening chai, you could go and chat with him. His friends sometimes came over when he was in India to chat with him. And then evenings, again, he was in busy in his meditation and prayers. And in the late evenings, he would write his books when it was very quiet in the house. And everybody was kind of sleeping because he slept at 12 o'clock and he got up at 2:33. So he slept very little. He was a person who would like show you how a good life is instead of telling you how a good life is, and how you have to always try to keep your energy pure, try to keep your energy aligned, your mental state clear, no bad thoughts. No, I mean, it was such a, his whole way of living was a wonderful experience. And what I want to mention is that it was not only him, his mother, my grandmother, she was also a fantastic woman to be with. My mother, she's still alive. Even she is a very special person. She also has a very strict regime where she's totally focused on have good thoughts, live a good life, simple life, uh, good food, disciplined, getting up every morning, going to see the sunrise, plucking flowers, coming back down, doing her puja, and then she is writing scriptures for 3 hours in the afternoon. So all these practices have really growing with them, growing with my father, growing with my grandmother. My grandmother was a person whom, I as I remember her, she was also a person who would show you instead of doing wrong and telling you to do the right. And all the characteristics like forgiveness, to let go, all these things were like incorporated in us from the very beginning. So we were kind of born with them, lived with them, experienced them, practiced them. And then seeing all these things happening around you, you get an inclination to, like, let's read about these things. Let's read the scriptures. Let's read, get to know what is reality, what is real, what is non real, what is knowledge, what is not knowledge. And like all these things that I'm reading these days, that all the phenomenal world that you see around is not real, and the reality is it's something else. It's something which you cannot see, you cannot perceive, but it's there. And you, if by meditating and by manipulate how do you call it, contemplating, you can finally come to that reality, to realize that, yeah, the ultimate reality is not this world which is constantly changing. So all these things, it was easier for us to understand because the concepts were made clear from the very beginning. So from him, we could learn what is the right way to eat, what is the Ayurvedic way to eat, what are the, like he used to always very much focus on wearing the right clothes, should be cotton, because your body is be able to absorb the energy properly. Synthetic is not so good for you. Eating the right food, thinking the right way, chanting in a proper way, all this was really like growing with it, and it was really wonderful. And initially, when he passed, for so many years, I it was so difficult for me to hear this, that he is no more. Somebody asked, oh, your father, and I was like, no, 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 that can't be true. It was so difficult for me to really get used to this thing that, yeah, he's no more. Because for us, he used to live abroad, so we were not seeing him all the time, so it was like he's gone and he will come back. But then slowly, slowly, when he was no more, then I came here and I developed the house and the business in a certain way that he would have loved. He wanted this house to be used for students to come and learn this kind of knowledge. So I'm trying to run it in a way that he would have done it, not as good as he would have done it, of course, because I don't have that high level of knowledge, but I try my best to do it that way. And one more point that I really loved about, which I never understood when we were going through it, is that when we were there at the age of 5 and 6, and I think I came back when I was 9 or 10. And then he said very clearly, very casually, he said, now you're not going to go with me anymore because I don't want you guys to be growing up in the West. I want you to grow up in India, in an Indian environment with my mother and all the cultural and traditional things. And that was like a bit annoying, I would say, as a child. And why we will not go? Why we can only go when we are? But I really understand the value of that now, because so many of my cousins and all my aunties are in the West, and they are not as close to the culture and traditions. Even though my auntie in London, she really takes care that everybody knows all the tradition, all the children, coming generation. But still, I mean, one person telling you and the whole environment telling you is makes a lot of difference. So that was him, a very special person to grow up with, and a very like every aspect of him was very special. All the books and everything he gave to us is really, really amazing that he did in this small span of life. I'm 60 this year. And I feel like, oh my God, in 64, he left his body. That's too early. That is really too early. He predicted that. I think he told me in 84 that in if I cross 20th of August 1999, I will live 13 more years. And he exactly passed away on 20th of August 1999. He was a very good astrologer also. I mean, he knew everything. You name it and he would just know it. I remember once he had a friend, a very simple friend, and he came to our house and he was just sitting. And my father said, just show me your hand. He saw the hand and he said, oh my God. His name was Sharma. He said, Sharma, you have to go to the jail. I said, what? Go to the jail? He couldn't believe it because he was such a simple man living properly and he would not do anything which will bring him to a jail. And by mistake, the police took him instead of some other Sharma and he went to the jail. Although he came out the next day and it was like everything was fine, but he was such a good predictor. He knew astrology very well.
So, um, Seema, we were talking before a little bit about his mastery over the chakras. And I know I'm looking at the people on the screen. I know we've got a lot of people here who have some study under their belt of the movement of energy of Kundalini Shakti to meet, meet its maker and unite at the crown of the head. But will you share a little bit about these centers and the practices and also his awareness of moving the energy?
Yeah, I mean, the chakras are like basically energy points in our body. There are supposed to be, I think, 118 or 108 chakras, but seven are major chakras. And they are starting from the root, from the, how do you call it? Tailbone, the sacral part, and then to the navel, and then here, and then heart and throat, and the third eye, and then here. So actually, these chakras are activated all the time, whether you know about it or not. And you can see that they are activated if you start focusing on them. It's like you don't know what's in the next room, but it's there anyway, even if you don't know about it. So the moment you start focusing on that energy, then you start feeling the importance. And then you can see that like the three lower chakras are about security, emotions, ego. So you can see that a person who is too much worried about his security, about his stability, is having a root chakra problem. Then if somebody having an emotional problem where he's not able to, that means he has a second chakra problem. And a person where he has a lot of ego, so this way you can judge that in which, and it's a very beneficial knowledge because if you can see and realize and understand in which chakra you are in, your energy is blocked in or moving in, then you can at least assist it and get it to the higher chakras. So it's very important. It's not only a book which, or to know about the chakras, is not only to know about like that you have to do yoga, that you need to know about the chakras, or you have to do a class on the chakras, that you have to need to know about the chakras. It's something which is very much useful in your daily life. So all these seven chakras are different emotions, different level of your energy. Like the heart chakra is about giving and like devotion. So if you can understand which chakra you are in, I think it's a very helpful way to be able to take your energy up because our ultimate goal being a human in this life is to live in higher energies, not just be in the lower three chakras where we are just concerned about the basic emotions and food and sex and all. So the aim of a human being, because we are the most developed species on the planet, and we have the ability, we have the possibility that we can rise above and get to the higher chakras and get to the higher knowledge and be able to even unite with the supreme consciousness which is all pervading in this world. So to have the knowledge of this or these chakras is really going to help you in a very, very common way, I would say, to be able to stay in your higher chakras. And I, even just now, I remembered that people who used to go to places where they were activating the Kundalini. So there were so many people, in my experience, came to my father with a disturbed Kundalini uh, upward movement, which they were not able to handle and which was making them kind of abnormal. And then he would really make them sit down and give them a coral mala, because coral is something which really is a it's a mineral, and it's like takes the energy, fixes the energy in a way. So he would put a coral mala on their chest and put his hand on their head and say some small things. I don't know what he said. Maybe he was chanting a mantra or something. And the Kundalini would really get in place. So life is about balance. And balance comes by balancing the chakras, all the energies inside our body.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I would share that, for the times that I've been at Johari House, and there's some of you on the screen that have been there with us in our program a few years back. And one of the things that you invite us to do is to either color in yantras or draw yantras. So speak a bit about like, and it's such a meditative process, but it's you can just seem like you're coloring a picture, but there's
Much
so
more.
much more to it. So yeah, I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, because all these symbols that are used in these yantras are having a specific meaning and specific energy. Like if you have a plain paper, you just draw a dot, your all your focus will go there. If you draw a circle, it's a different kind of energy. If you have a paper with a triangle, it's a different kind of energy. So all these triangles, all these circles, all these squares, all these petals, they are symbolizing certain kind of energy. And these yantras are not made by somebody. They were realized by rishis, by our seers, in the high state of meditation. They could see that these kind of combination of triangle, circle, petals, and squares is symbolizing Ganesha energy. So that is the Ganesh yantra. And then they would see that these kind of symbols put together is symbolizing, is able to depict Durga energy. So that became a Durga yantra. So when you are chanting that mantra and coloring that kind of yantra with those particular colors that it is supposed to, and working from the outer to the in, you start feel the shift in your energy. All the whole world is about symbols. I mean, if names and forms. If I show you something, you will immediately ask, what is it name? What's a name? What is it called? And if I say a word, then it's, well, how does it look like? So everything for us to understand this mind needs symbols. And these chakras are all not actually inside the bodies, those spiral wheels, but it's all symbols, because we need the symbols to be able to articulate it in our mind that, okay, the first chakra is, the sound is lam, the yantra is this, it's a square because it's the earth element, it has two petals, because, so all these things are symbols, because to be able to make it for us to understand. But actually it's all energy form. And quantum physics is now telling that everything is energy, everything is in a wave. There's no thing which you can say that this is a cell or anything. It's everything is moving energy. So the chakras are also that kind of energy which is flowing inside us, whether you're aware of it or not. And once you start getting aware of it, you can see that your energy is moving in which chakra, and do you need to bring it higher? Do you need to bring it, like, do you have to make it flow better and all? This is what this whole science is about.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Um, I love that if for those who do have the book, if you get to like page like 46, 47, um, it's down to like what to do. Like number one, Eat less, eat simple, nourishing, fresh, easily digestible food. Drink less, but not less than the minimum requirement. Like he's giving you, this is why I love it. It's the practicum. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, here's the sciences. Now, which bits of this am I ready to do? Because one of the things, talk less, avoid unnecessary discussions, lies, fantasies, sleep less, avoid the consumption of energy in dreams. Like this is really fascinating, direct information. And I think like it's nice to be able to look at this and be like, okay, which ones am I resonating with now that I can actually bring some consciousness to this and make clear choices about how I want to support the energy flowing through these centers. So I do encourage you if you don't have the book, it's like a rule book for a happy life. It's
And you can
like,
feel the difference. If the energy is flowing properly, you have less emotional problems, you have less mental problems, you have less anxiety, you're more relaxed, you can take better decisions. So it's very, very important for the energy to flow properly in the body.
yes, absolutely. It it's been so beautiful to be able to go to Johari House and to sort of paint you all the picture. It's like this oasis in a bustling city, and you walk in and there's just this energy there that's palpable. And like you just kind of you just want to sit and soak it up, right? It's like it's a very rare experience to be able to go to places that don't have you wanting to rush somewhere else. You know what I mean? You're just happy to just sit and be. And we've got Anushree here. I'd love to hear from Anushree. My favorite thing, we always used to say that Anushree needs her own cooking channel because she is the most joyful, like effervescent being. And when you go into the kitchen at Johari House for a cooking lesson, I remember it's the little things like she'll say, you put the ghee in the pan and you might put the cumin seeds in. And how do you know when you're ready to add the next thing? Because the cumin seeds are dancing. I remember all of these, little tips. But the joy that you bring to the knowledge of food and food as celebration and food as healing, I think it would be valuable for us to hear some of that from you.
Hello, everybody. Ram Ram. So, I mean, it's very simple. Food is something that connects everybody. Everybody needs food. Everybody eats food. Everybody loves food. And food is also very sensitive. Just like my mother said, food absorbs energy. So the person who's cooking is touching your food. The food is absorbing the energy. If the cook is in a bad mood, the food will absorb that energy. The person who's handing you over the food, that person's energy also will be absorbed in the food. So you like that's what I always say, that if you are ordering the most expensive organic vegan wrap with 80% protein, it might nourish your body, give you the amount of protein you need and everything, yes, but and you're eating while you're on a subway in New York. Most of the people are doing that because they need to multitask, and they're eating the perfect food that their body needs, and their clothes won't shrink after eating them. But that food will not nourish your soul. So if you make one meal a day for yourself, set the intention right that may this food nourish my family, may this food nourish me at all levels, mind, body, and soul. The food not only fills your stomach, it gives you nutrition, it gives you happiness, it gives you satisfaction. I mean, people think food is not important, but food can make you happy if you come home and say, okay, listen, look at what I've made for you. So you'll be really like, it can cheer me up. So food is my love language, at least. I don't know. Like, but most people, even if Deb, you come and I say, oh, see, I made the most amazing dal. And you'll be like, oh, wow. So if you make food with a lot of love, and if it's so my grandfather used to say, if you open his book, food made by love and with the knowledge, like science and love, both are needed. The knowledge is important, where you know what to mix with what, the ingredients, you know how to combine the ingredients. Food made with love, but with knowledge and science, and served in an inspiring atmosphere, is elixir. It's nourishing. It will nourish your mind, body, and soul. It's not food then. You're serving elixir. It's going to really, you'll feel full at many levels. And that's what we do, I think. You know, Indians are crazy. They cook 3 meals a day. We are serving so much love, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, like, we cook everything from scratch for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But you know, of course, it's different. The country is different. Our temperatures are different. We have so much help. You know, we tell her, okay, cut everything. We are going to come and cook, and then somebody else is cleaning. So I understand that's not how you can, you know, function. But once a day, if you start cooking it for yourself, and with, of course, with some knowledge of Ayurveda, and you know, applying like which vegetable would go with what, which spices to combine, and chant while cooking, or just be in a nice mood. Just set the intention right, chant a mantra, play some mantras. Trust me, that food, I mean, will really heal you. I mean, and I would say you come to India, do a class with me, and then you will be addicted to cooking yourself.
It's
That I can.
It's actually true. I don't consider myself a chef. And I mean, I remember one of the programs years ago at Johari House, people were leaving with like going to the shops to buy their rice pressure cookers, and like everyone just wanted to run back home and start cooking because, and the food, I don't know, like I always say the one in India, I don't have any digestive issues. And I know that this is common for a lot of people that come. And why is that, and how don't ever eat around Anushree because she'll keep coming up and go, do you want more? And you'll say, no, I'm full. And then bad luck. And it just, like more and more comes. But it's truly that experience of serving joy on a plate, right? And when you're eating it, it feels different. It really feels different. Um, a lot of the reason I wanted to have this satsang tonight with you both is, especially in more recent times for myself, I've really been pondering, who am I in this yoga world, and what is my time here all about? And I guess I've deduced it to bridging the gap between doing yoga and living the yogic lifestyle, right? Like, how are we going to take this one experience of we found yoga on the mat, potentially, maybe others different ways, but how are we going to live it? Because my experience is that when we have our sadhana, when we have our daily spirit rituals, spiritual life, we are less at the whim of the push and pull of the world that is always going to be moving and turning around us. And my experience, as I'm sure many of you listening, is we have, there's a point where you've got to go a little bit deeper. There's books to read, there's experience to have that is not just on the yoga mat. And so tonight was really an opportunity to feel this lived experience of yoga from people who know nothing but that, and that's what that's like life goals to, to me, is how do we, and maybe you can feel it. Do you feel like joy in your body right now? Like just listening to them, it's a real transmission that happens when we're around, true yogis and yoginis, practices of these arts, really. I do want to open it out to anyone here if you do have any specific questions that have been bubbling up for you. You can chat, you can put your hand up and I'll unmute you. You can type it in that chat box if there is anything. And even for Anushree or Seema, if there's any advice that you would give us on this, journey to deepen our lived experience of the practices. feel like Seema's going to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that apart from living in the material world where we are with all the relations and jobs and things, it is really, really important to get inside and know yourself and try to understand these things which are said that the whole universe is inside you, whatever is outside is inside you. You can find everything inside, all the knowledge is inside, the world is not real. You should really, once try to go and read about these concepts and try to understand them. And it's not necessary that you have to understand everything and everything forever. Even if one such concept gets clearer, your mind starts, moving in a different direction. And the life is very different than it is before when you have not thought about such things. So one should really get into these concepts and spiritual things and like notions and all. Just go inside and try to see there's so much beautiful knowledge all over. I always feel I have less time to learn all that, and there's so much beautiful things around, except apart from all these material world that we are living in and busy all the time.
Yes. So beautifully said. I love that. It is, you can hear one thing, can't you? One teacher says one thing and it just changes the trajectory of where you were going. It's so important to be students. It's so key. Belinda here has a question, so I'm gonna.
We have the potential of doing that. No other species has. We have so much potential inside, and we are just wasting it by living in the normal world and just doing all the normal things that everyone does.
Yes. Go ahead, Belinda.
Hi, thank you, ladies. Seema, I had a question for you because you mentioned the Bidra mantras, and I just recently listened to this podcast, and I've always thought the Bidra mantras were lam, lam, bum,
Yeah.
ram,
Uh,
and
Om, Hreem, Shreem, Kleem.
yeah, but the Bidra
They're all
mantras
beach mantras.
for the chakras, though,
Yeah, Lam, Yam, Ram, yeah.
yeah, and I heard on this podcast that were from yogis that said that they're actually the elements of the chakras, not the Bidra mantras for the chakras. So now I feel like I've always given out the wrong information, and I'm worried that I'm actually delivering a chakra workshop on the weekend. I'm like, this is perfect timing. I want to get the right information. So can you confirm that they're the Bidra mantras for the chakras or the
They're the beach.
um,
These sounds are the beach mantras for the chakra, because chakra is a symbol, so it'll activate that kind of energy, and it'll activate that deity which is responsible for that chakra. So you are like, when you are saying lam, you're activating your muladhar, and you're activating Ganesha energy, because Ganesh is in the muladhar.
mm,
So and then it'll enhance and increase your stability, because the root chakra is about stability and
mhm.
security. So they are the sounds of the chakra only. And
Okay.
bija mantra doesn't have you can't, it doesn't have a meaning, because it is the seed. Like the seed has a potential of growing a big tree with all kinds of leaves and fruits and all kinds of things. Bark, every part of the tree is consistent in that small seed. Similarly, the whole energy of the deity of the chakra is in that seed. So you shouldn't look for meaning of the bij mantras, because they
Mm.
actually don't have meanings, but they are activation points, they're activation sounds to activate that chakra.
Okay, yeah, because yeah, I
Of
had
course, the
heard
chakra
this
is
information
Of
that
course,
they
the chakra is related to an element, to a color, to a yantra, to a deity, to the energy. So it is all that. Everything goes together. But it is
yeah.
not that it is not sound of the chakra, it's sound of the element. No, it is the sound of the chakra only, which is activating the
Okay.
element. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I better unmute myself. Does anyone else have any burning questions? Well, just save them for February when you come to India and meet us all in person. That's not really part of the segue, but I will share it with you. You know, there's always options, right, for your future study. This particular pilgrimage in February has a few components to it. And the start of it will be to study the beautiful story of the Ramayana, and that will be at an ashram in Jodhpur. And then we'll meet up with these ladies as we journey to Pushkar and onto Jaipur. And, you know, just even in the travel time, there's opportunity for conversation. We'll be going to potent temples, and it really is to allow us to, you know, all this isn't like for teachers to learn stuff to come back and teach. It's these are not my pilgrimages. Even if you're a teacher, you're going to have stuff to come back with, but it's about your practice, your experience, you know, diving into the world of yoga and being around people who can pass this on, right? So that's a big piece that is important to me, is that we have teachers from India on. I am not just the voice, you know, on my programs there. So you're more than welcome, and you can ask more questions about that. Anything else I want to tell you? You do have, yeah, I will send this recording through as well if you want to have access to that. And Seema and Anushree have spiritual vacations. Is what's your Instagram handle? I think it's that, isn't it? Spiritual vacations
108.
108. Yeah, so you can follow them along. You'll see footage there of Johari House as well. Anything else you want to share about that while you're there? Just come, and we'll figure out a program in Johari House as well, and
Yes, we're planning that for the next tour.
we'll come home and we'll do yoga on their beautiful rooftop, which is amazing. But do follow along, and I'm sure if you have any questions post session, they'd be happy to answer. I'm just throwing you at it there. And then my last little mention for myself is down here on Raymond Island on the 12th to the 14th. I've created just a little container called Inner Temple, and it's Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, of which you can come to any of them. And this is about the practices. The Friday night, we'll look at the geometry of asana, right, as one of the ways in. But the Saturday, the biggest piece of Saturday, we'll be looking at the psychology of the chakras and chakra theory and practices. So if it's of interest to you, you could absolutely come down and be just in, you know, in this part of the practice. And then there'll be some meditation mantra practices, bhakti on Sunday, and some of the study of the paths of yoga as well. So my interest in share is to share what I've studied and am learning and practicing, so that we all continually deepen and also have hopefully that moment where we hear the one thing that propels us forward on our path, because we know that this world at the moment, you know, you can really go down the rabbit hole of all of the things that are happening. So to have these spiritual disciplines and practices that hold us steady, it not just helps us mentally, but I do believe it allows us to align with what our path is in this life. How are we here to help and serve? You know, what particular gifts do we have that are so needed in our communities, you know, at any given time? And we can't hear that when we're busy. We can't hear that when we're worrying and panicking and going through news feeds and all of that kind of thing. So the spiritual book club is just, you know, it's just one way for us to stay anchored to the truths. And, you know, Abhilasha always says about the steps of bhakti, you know, that to be in the company of saints, you know, to be in the company of the teachings is really key, right? Whether it's through storytelling, reading, satsangs like tonight, sharing whatever you're learning with each other, going to Belinda's chakras session, you know, like everyone's in there with their skills and offerings. So if you do have things that are coming up in your life as well, and you want to tell me about it, I can certainly send that out through my email base. If you've got programs and things you want me to share, there's enough to go around. We should be sharing each other's programs and things, so more and more people can come home to these teachings when they feel aligned and ready. So I don't want to keep you all too long, although I could ask Seema and Anu to keep talking all night, but probably.
Next time we are in Australia, we should do something at your Raymond Island.
Absolutely. Yes, next time they're in Australia, we'll hijack them on Raymond Island for sure. What a great plan. I've seen it, it's already happened. Thank
Then
you
we
so
can
very much.
attract everybody with Ayurveda food.
Oh, yeah, we've got a kitchen there.
Yeah.
Perfect. We'll just hand the kitchen to Anu. Beautiful. Thank you all so much for coming, for listening, and if there's anything you want to share with me, etc., please send me a message, an email. Seema, Anushree, such teachers on my path. Thank you so much. I'm beyond excited for February. I'm going to squeeze you both so hard when I see you. Thank you all, everyone. Have a beautiful evening, and we'll stay connected somehow, somewhere. Namaste. I'll pause.